Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm Marlene Foster with Empower the Vision, and today I'd like to introduce to you Nicky Dare.
Like very humbling, I I was invited by you. We kind of like met, and then we said, okay, let's jump in the spotlight. And I'm gonna go, okay, I'm game for that. And I'm really ecstatic about just being here. And this is something that I want to continue doing, which is promoting goodness in all of us. I think it's a must for us. I've been an entrepreneur and business entrepreneur since my early age, and I've spearheaded a consulting company called Meta Management Global Consultants back then. And from that point on, I mean, it's just a journey that I have been like really rewarded. Ups and down, failed here, stumbled through here, and all of that, don't we all? And grow at the same time. So I've wrote a book, like I said, they're all in, everywhere in Amazon, and I've educated also. I'm an educator, and I have been teaching as well as educating. How do you say teaching and educating is the same way? I don't want to be redundant.
That's what you said. You know what? But that's what you said in your book, Nikki, was that a continuous learning, continuous development within the company.
Lifelong learner.
Yeah, exactly.
It's that way.
It is.
When you speak out of your heart, and you speak raw and unfiltered and everything. But yeah, like I said,
you started your business in your early 20s, right? Then you started consulting
exactly
in your early 20s.
I think it was a great experience, and it still is. Changing the hats and everything, changing the era, I should say. But all of the things are still the same, obviously, right? The experience, the flavor of the experience. But back then, I was young. And I'm so glad that everybody listened to me. It's so difficult. It's so challenging. I shouldn't say difficult. It's so challenging when you go in and then you gotta have to sort of like, hey, you gotta win the bids, right, on the project, and you're competing with the big boys such as the KPMG, Halliburton. Who else is there? Price Waterhouse Anderson Consultant. I mean. All of those big boys, I mean, they have the same, like submission. And then you go in there and then they pick you. You better do your job. You better be better than those guys all combined together, right? So what does that mean? You gotta have to know your shit, basically, and you gotta do the due diligence research. So what I did back then is to really team up, and that's the key word, team up and collaborate with other consultants who have been in the industry and seasoned to discuss this. So my job back then, I was looking at it, it's like, okay, it's a trend where organizations or companies are going through reorganization. There's a lot of them going downsize, basically, right? Same kind of thing with the crisis going on right now, right? And I went in there because I've always been passionate about, effective decision making, being adaptable, and the word is continuous improvement, right? Mm-hmm. That's where the Kaizen book just launched. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to be a change management specialist, basically, and I have, and that's who I was, change management specialist, and also BPR. If you recall, Marlene, BPR stands for business process engineering. So what it means is that, we go in there as consultants, we diagnose the problems. There's no one size fits all solution, by the way. We customize accordingly. And what I find back then is that is almost the same flavor of what's going on right now today, right? Is the resistance to change, is the resistance to make that improvement, because we're all complacent. We're all complacent to what we're doing. This is the way it should be done. And it always comes down from where else? From the top. And when the top does not resist to change, does not want to change, it becomes really hard to trickle down to the bottom, because it's all this, right? If the top doesn't want to change, it becomes challenging working towards to the people who actually do the work. So I think, back then it was very interesting because a lot of companies were merging, downsizing, and we are going through back in the 80s. There's so many things going on back then. There's so many great things going on back. I mean, the era of, there's no internet back then, right? There's no technology. I mean, I remember my phone, Motorola, if you recall, the very first, so to speak, wireless was Motorola, came up, and Nokia, I believe, came up with this big, huge military size. I mean, you can use as a weapon to hit somebody, I think, right? If you recall, it was a huge wonka honka. And then it was so nice to have that next to you, and you talked like, and now it's like slim like this. Again, I'm showing you the point that I'm trying to make is that times have changed. Everything is improved, right, through times, right? The way we think, technology, business landscape, things like that. But I'm going to tell you one thing: the issues, the problems are still the same. Okay, the issue, the problems are still the same. The way we handle it, we have to do it a different way, right? We have to apply this accordingly. So I mean, the change management, I think, is great. The BPR, I talk a lot about it in my book, in Kaizen book. I think there's an intersection of that. I know there's an intersection of the concept. They're all business strategies. The goal of all of those things is really one thing: to better improve your organization and to take care of your people, because people are the assets, the real assets into any organization. Some companies probably looking at it differently. And then we all know this for a fact: when the top leader, the top guy sitting in the C-suite office, only concerned about the money and concerned about the numbers every month, every quarter, because there's some stakeholders, right? Depend on that, right? Report. It becomes a problem, becomes an issue. So the connection, the human connection is always so important in that kind of working environment. Working from the CEO level all the way to the management. What I mean by this is this. I'm going to give you an example. Like when you go to a restaurant, do you go back to your to the restaurant because of the food, or because of service, or all of the above?